think it's 36 degrees today. It's always difficult finding an affordable, freshly made breakfast when travelling. I was lucky to find this cafe just around the corner. Now that is a cute pink building. Now just up the road from where I'm staying is that pink building, the Walter Goodman building. Built for, you guessed it, Walter Goodman. It's a rendered brick building in the Victorian filigree Italianate style, and you can tell because of the ornate cast iron balcony lacework, high parapets and significant street presence. Walter Goodman was a shoe merchant. He developed the upstairs building for an apartment and leased out the bottom building for shops. It was built in 2 stages between 1890 and 1912, and you can tell because of the architectural differences along the frontage. Today the streets are busy, noisy, traffic heavy, energetic and very urban. And now for a quieter part of Annandale. So I'm looking for something called White Creek Wetland. And I think it's just up here. Follow the water gurgling from pond to pond. Can you see a turtle? Turtles as small as a 20-cent piece and as big as a plate have been found in this wetland. I don't think there's any in that part of the water. Can you hear the frogs? Well, I don't know about you, but I live in the country. I don't need to see any more frogs. I see plenty of the beautiful green ones, but also those gross toads. Blue-tongued lizards live here. So I'm heading back to Johnston Street now. Most of Annandale's streets, including Johnston Street, date back to the late 1870s to the early 1890s. This is 25 Johnston Street, Annandale Public School, established in 1886. The land on which it sits comes from a land grant made in 1793 to George Johnston. The estate was called Annandale after his Scottish hometown, Annan, in Dumfriesshire. It might be warm here in Sydney today, but one thing Sydney has is those cool breezes. They're quite refreshing. I've been wondering what that bridge is. I've done a bit of research, and the narrow concrete bridge behind me spans Nelson Street, Nelson Lane and Johnston Creek. The aqueduct features a series of slender, reinforced concrete arches supported by substantial mass concrete piers. It is known as the Johnston Street Sewer Aqueduct. Completed in 1889, this reinforced concrete structure was designed to carry a sewage across the shallow valley of Johnston's Creek, serving as a crucial component of Sydney's early urban infrastructure. Well, there you go. It's a sewer creek. Over there is the Rozelle Tram Depot, built in 1904. Now, this was a major Sydney tram maintenance and storage hub, servicing surrounding suburbs including Annandale. The Rozelle Tram Depot closed in 1958 when the trams closed for service. It is now a vibrant food and community hub. These are concrete-lined creek channels you'll pass walking towards the tram sheds. Obviously these aren't fully natural scenic waterways anymore, they're engineered stormwater conduits with concrete lining and retaining walls rather than free-flowing creek beds. The tram sheds sat largely unused for decades, serving at times as a storage site and later falling into disrepair. After major renovation and redevelopment, it opened to the public in September 2016 as the Tram Sheds Harold Park, a heritage-preserved food and community precinct that you see here. Harold Park. This site was used for more than half a century as a horse trotting track. Quite low, I can touch that. Now I have a habit of attracting homeless people under bridges, so I'm a bit cautious, but that looks fine. Now over there is an old building, a post office building. Stamps not in service. I wonder why. Now this post office building was built between 1895 and 1896 in the Federation-free classical style, which is characterised by the red brick. SMC 1910 is quite new in comparison. How old are the Streets of Annandale? Well, the area that became Annandale was originally part of the Johnston family estate, granted in 1799 to Major George Johnston, famous for the 1808 Rum Rebellion. Rum Rebellion, that sounds interesting. How important rum is to the Australian economy? The Rum Rebellion of 1808 was a defining moment in early Australian history. Rum was first brought to Australia by the first fleets. The chief commodity that was used for trade was rum. That meant Australia really had a rum currency. And Lieutenant Colonel George Johnston played the central role. At the time, the New South Wales Corps effectively controlled the colony, dominating trade through the use of rum as an unofficial currency. With money scarce, people bartered goods, and rum, easy to trade and always in demand, became the backbone of the colony's rum economy, giving the Corps immense power. Governor William Bligh, of Mutiny on the Bounty fame, arrived determined to end the corrupt system by curbing the Corps' privileges. Tensions grew as he cracked down on private trading and challenged wealthy settlers like John MacArthur. When Bligh ordered MacArthur's arrest, the conflict exploded. On the 26th of January 1808, the colony's 20th anniversary, Johnston led his troops to arrest Bligh, the only successful military coup in Australian history. Johnston briefly acted as governor. His rule soon ended though. Court-martialed in England and dismissed from service, he later returned to Sydney and retired to his estate, Annandale. Annandale Farm was named after his birthplace in Scotland. His property once covered much of the modern suburb, and though the rebellion ended his career, it left a lasting mark on Australians' politics and on Annandale's history. I have to admit, I had no idea. I don't remember this being covered in the Australian Citizenship Knowledge and Questions test. After I thought I'd finished Annandale where I've been staying, I walked around the corner and discovered Newtown. Mural art everywhere and a huge amount of heritage buildings. That is going to have to be another visit, another time, another video. So I've walked to Sydney Park to have a rest. I think it's 36 degrees today. And part of the park is closed for construction. Join the journey, out and about with Sheryl. See you next time.